I am recording this session, so if you need to come back to it later, we can provide it to you. Today we'll be covering campaigns and workflows, specifically what's new in Orion. So we have a totally new user interface here in Orion, and so we're going to go ahead and review campaigns and workflows. So today you have myself, Liz Colon, here on the line. I'm a senior education consultant here at Frank Connect. Many of you know me or have been on calls with me previously, so welcome. It's nice to chat with you again. We also have Vikram Raj on our line, who's a product manager, and he'll be here talking a little bit about the changes and answering your questions as well. So as usual, as we move forward in our additional lessons about the experts, will involve other experts in featured topics, and will include developer resources where necessary. So welcome, everyone. So you can go ahead and ask anything you like. Our format is that we begin this call with 10 minutes of lesson, and then we continue with questions throughout. We are expecting quite a few questions from you here on the line to see how things work with the new UI for campaigns. If you're using your mobile phone, there are two different ways that you can communicate with us with questions. You can raise your hand, or you can go ahead and place your question in the chat box. Same is true for your user bar here. You can raise your hand or place your question into the chat box. It really is up to you. We keep the lines muted for these calls because there are quite a few people on the line. So if you have questions, don't be afraid to raise your hand, and we'll unmute your line so you can ask them verbally, or of course, place them into the chat window. All right, so again, we're going to cover the topic of the week first, which is campaigns and workflows. Then we'll open up the floor for questions, and any module is acceptable in terms of the questions that you want to ask. As usual as well, if you have any questions that you think of after the session or you need to follow up with us about, you can email those questions to training@frankconnect.com, and we'll be happy to answer your questions as they come up. And then last but not least, here's our training schedule or Ask the Expert schedule moving forward. So we've got today, new in Orion. Next week is 5 steps to better franchisee hub adoption. We'll be moving on from there and talking about text messaging in Orion as well. So just keep an eye out on these, and feel free to join us for these sessions as well. As always, Fridays at 2 p.m. Okay, so I'm going to hop on out of here and jump into the system. And so this is the new campaign center that we're going to find in Sales. For those of you who are on the latest version of Frank Connect, you've probably noticed this change, and perhaps a small video at the beginning of logging into the system that tells you a little bit about the changes that have come up here in the system. Now, here in Campaign Center, we have a new dashboard. It's definitely arranged in a very nice and streamlined way. And then you can see here we have our campaigns, templates, our recipient groups or groups here in the system, and our workflows. In our lesson today, I'll refer back to what you know about campaigns from the former release of the system, because the methodology that you've used all of this time is still accurate today. You create a template. The template is the foundation and basis for all campaigns. Once you create the template, you can add it to a campaign. Now, in this system, you can also add templates directly to the creation of campaigns, but as many of you have learned in my lessons, if you're doing 1 or 2 or 3 templates as part of a campaign, it's easy to create the templates first and then assign them to the campaign. So here in the system, we have our Create button. And here, this will allow us to create campaigns, templates, recipient groups, and workflows. We'll go ahead and click on Campaign. And we're going to go ahead and use the same naming conventions that we used to use in the old system as well. we'll give our campaign a name. And for most of you, the main campaign that you're using is the welcome campaign. So give it a description. We'll, rule of thumb, make campaigns public for oversight. And then services allows us to place this campaign into a bucket for better organization. And we'll go ahead and click Start. As mentioned, campaigns will let us go ahead and create templates. So you're going to see here in the system that we have a whole breadth of new campaigns here available to you. You can choose from an existing layout or from a layout that we've sort of pre-put together for you, or you can choose to use a template where you'll customize it to your organization, but a lot of the content can remain as designed here. And so you can see that we've got quite a few different options here that are very sort of marketing focused. Okay, you can go ahead and choose any of these options here. Now I'm going to go ahead and choose one that we've already created, and I'm going to click Customize. And now, because I'm choosing a template, I'm actually creating this template. Yes, there's a question on the line about the presentation being recorded. Yes, this presentation is being recorded. Thanks for confirming for me. Now, as with the old system as well, we're seeing our name here. Our name is what we see internally for this template. Our subject is what the lead will see when we're emailing them. And so we want to go ahead and make sure that this is a line that we'd like them to see. We can place this into a folder for, again, organization. We're going to make templates public for oversight. And then set email type as will probably 98% of the time be none, unless the template that you're creating fits one of these descriptions here. We'll go ahead and click Done. And what you're going to find here is a template that you can easily customize. Along the left-hand side are all kinds of elements and layouts that you can drag and drop into the body of your template. Once you've placed content into the body of your template, or I'm sorry, once you've placed an element into the body of your template, you can double-click on that element to begin editing, as it shows here. Double-click to edit. So we'll go ahead and we can begin adding our content. Now, for those of you who are used to the system as well, you'll just go ahead and type in your content. But what you'll also find is that you have the same ability to enter keywords as you used to. Now, keywords are going to be presented in the settings box along the left-hand side. So what you're going to find is you'll be inside this box making changes, and then you can use the left hand to assist you in those changes that you're making. And in this case, we can add the lead's name with our control copy and control paste, right? Control C and control V as we've always done. This did not change. And then we can go ahead and make this specific to our lead. And we'll place in our keywords again. And those of you who've been in class with me know that I'm a stickler for making sure owner profiles are up to date and using this information inside the body of your paragraph. Now, we really don't want this centered, so we can go ahead and come over here and left justify it. If we want to go ahead and make edits to our company name, for example, we don't particularly want to use the stock logo. We want to go ahead and use our own. So we can go ahead along the left-hand side and click Upload, click Browse, and search our system for our logo, which will then be uploaded here into the templates. Now, one thing that you'll notice about this new version is that it's going to constrain the proportions for us versus the old version where we had to kind of make adjustments to that. And so you can see here the logo is now in here. Now there's a question on the line about copying and pasting from Word. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull from PowerPoint. This is a Microsoft product. And we can go ahead and copy the content right in. Okay. So this is the basis and foundation, again, for our campaigns are the templates. Templates are emailed once we've made our edits to them. We can go ahead and one of the great features of Orion is this ability to preview and test. One of the things that we heard repeatedly from you as our franchisor base is that you wanted mobile-friendly templates. And so what we have here is your ability to preview these in desktop format, in tablet format, and then here on mobile as well to see how your leads will see your emails. You can then send a test email if you'd like, and in our case, we're just going to go ahead and click Save and Continue. Once we do this, you can choose to select recipient groups specifically, so set the criteria for the people who you want to receive this. You can click Associate Later, which will allow you, which I'm going to click right now. I'll click Associate Later, which will allow you to get to this page that you used to see when creating your templates before. Who is this email coming from to our leads? When will it start? When do we want to send this? And is it as soon as these leads are associated? And then we can go ahead and set these up to be sent out on a constant basis, variable basis, and all in the same day. You can go ahead then and add other templates, add additional templates. And you can, and if we do add templates, we can select Choose from Existing, and I can select some additional welcome templates that I've created. Now I've got all three of these, and I need to reorder them, so I can reorder them. And then I can go ahead and launch my campaign. Now at this point, none of my leads have been associated with this campaign because I want my leads to be associated with this campaign when they're new. So when a new lead enters the system, they get this welcome campaign. Well, here's the deal. In the old system, we used to call this a trigger. In the new system, we call this a workflow. So we're going to go ahead and click on workflows, and I'm going to show you how to create a basic workflow here. We'll click on Create Workflow. In this particular case, this is a standard workflow. Standard workflows are triggered when a record is added and modified. In our particular case, we are adding a new lead into the system, and we want them to receive a campaign. So a standard workflow is going to work as well. There are also event-based workflows, which should have take this up a level. And we have a course on campaigns and workflows that we're offering, I believe, twice a month. And so you can join us on that call to learn more about the next level of workflows. We'll go ahead and click Next. And so now we're setting up a trigger to say when a lead is added into the FranConnect system, and you see we have a couple of other options as well. In this particular case, it's a welcome campaign, so we're going to go ahead and say when the lead is added to the system, we want all leads, but we can also only send this when leads match a certain criteria. In this particular case, again, a welcome campaign, we want all leads to be acknowledged, so we're going to go ahead and select all leads. And then we're going to go ahead and choose an action, and our action is to send a campaign. Specifically, we want to send our Welcome Campaign 3, and we'll click Associate and Save. So again, our trigger is that the lead has been added. Our condition is that all leads receive this campaign, which is our action. You can see here that you can actually create multi-step workflows. So we can send a campaign, but we can also create a task for the lead owner to follow up with the lead. We can also trigger a status change if we'd like to. So we have a couple of things. We can have multi-step workflows, which is something that we also teach in our advanced class. When we're all done, we'll go ahead and click Create. What that does is it sets up our campaign, our welcome campaign 3 that we just created with our email template, and it will send this out now to all new leads as soon as the lead comes into the system. While the system looks different, we still have a lot of that same functionality present in a new, more user-friendly user interface. So I'm going to go ahead and open for questions now. I do have a few on the line. And so I'm going to go ahead and open for questions. Let me go ahead and have Vikram join us. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, Vikram. It says it sent you an audio pin, so just be aware of that. And let me take a look. Okay, so Tryon, you asked, can you show how to cut and paste content from a Word doc? I did show that. If you could just chat me back and let me know if that was sufficient. And then Emily, what's the best and most efficient way to send a campaign to all contacts within the system, leads and brokers? I might have to give that one to Vikram. I don't know that we can, in a single way, send to leads and brokers, because when we're creating the campaign, we have to choose whether it's going to leads or to brokers. So I'll make sure that Vikram follows up on that one once we get audio for him. Okay, let's take a look here. Another question. How can I use these features when I want to send a welcome email to a new lead added to the system that is not supposed to get certain information based on state rules? So I think the condition situation is going to apply. So when I showed you how to create the workflow, and I'll show you again. And you can let me know, Jamila, you can let me know if this is not accurate for you, but example workflow for Jamila. So we're going to go ahead and create a standard workflow again. And in this particular case, we're going to say that when a lead is added and the lead matches the below criteria. So we can limit which leads get what information by making sure that we filter out the criteria for this lead. And I think that that may be the best way to ensure that certain leads don't receive certain PDF documents based on state rules. So if we say these leads who are in Texas get this campaign versus leads who are in the rest of the country which get this campaign. So in this particular case, when a lead is added and they're in the state of Texas, they're going to get a separate campaign from the leads in the rest of the state, and we can separate that out here in the workflow. Okay, now I've got a hand raised, so let me go ahead and take a look at whose hand I've got here. It looks like Jamila, I've got your hand. Let me unmute your line here. Jamila, does that answer your question?
Yes, I believe it does. And so if I just wanted to choose the state, would I type the state in, or is there a selection where I would put state and I would just click it off, basically?
Sure. So whenever we're using the FranConnect system and we're referring to states, we're going to go ahead and we're going to select the country first from primary info, I would recommend, and then we're going to go ahead and click the state. And we're also going to select state from primary info. I was on a call yesterday and I wasn't matching this data well, and so things weren't working for me. So I want to stress to you that if you pull country from primary info, you're going to pull state from primary info, and that will allow you then to say our country is the United States, and specifically our state is Texas, okay? And you can, of course, search rather than scroll. So you can go ahead and achieve that. So in this particular case, we're saying leads that are added into the system that are in Texas are going to get a different campaign from those that are in the rest of the country. Another example from this, another example of this that we talk about in a lot of my classes is leads by source, right? And so a lot of times we might have leads that come in from maybe like a women's source, or we have leads that come in from a veteran source. And rather than just saying, hi, thanks so much for your inquiry, we might want to say as an organization, thank you so much for your service. You know, we're an organization that works well with veterans, and so we may sort of designate these people out separately using these filters.
And I guess my next question is, when you were discussing the campaign, you can attach multiple templates. Is that where I would do that, where I would have one template for the remainder of the country, have the welcome email with the attachment that we would want to send to them, and then another template attached in that campaign where just our Maryland leads would get maybe different information? Is that how I would do that? Basically, I'm just trying to figure out how we would automate that.
Yeah, you actually would want to do it in two separate campaigns. So you would have like your welcome campaign, and then you would have your Maryland welcome campaign, and you would set them up as two separate campaigns. Because what we're going to find here, and let me change this to Maryland since that's your specific use case, what we're going to find here is when I select Maryland and I click next, I'm going to have to choose which campaign. And so it's not allowing me to dig down into the template itself, but rather it wants me to choose a campaign. So if I have a single campaign with two different templates, and one of those templates is for the U.S. and the other is for Maryland, it's not going to allow me to drill down that here. So I have to create a campaign that's for Maryland and a campaign that's for the U.S., and then I'm going to go ahead and choose the specific Maryland campaign and click associate. And so now we're saying when a lead is added and they're in Maryland, they're going to get the Maryland campaign.
Got it. Okay.
All right, good. Thank you so much. That's a great question. All right, Jamelia, I'm putting you back on mute. I've got another question here up on the line. Okay, so Kelly, let me go ahead and unmute you so we can talk about this. And Kelly is asking a question about Information Manager on the line. So Kelly's question on Information Manager is, I'm looking at the campaigns in Information Manager. Does it work with corporate locations? I set up a test on Tuesday and it's still pending even though it's set to go out when the location is associated with the campaign. Kelly, we might have to dive a little bit deeper into this one in your particular system. But if it's set up to go out as soon as the campaign is associated, my assumption, since you're great with the system, Kelly, is that you've associated your locations with that campaign, correct?
Yeah, my test subjects are corporate locations to keep them separated from our active franchises. And so I created a campaign on Tuesday or Wednesday and associated my test location with it, and it's pending. I did create it to go out as soon as I associated the location with the campaign. So the steps I did were to create the campaign and then to associate the franchise with the campaign. I just set up another one today, but I wasn't sure if corporate locations were exempt from the campaign center, and that might be why it's still pending.
Vikram, do you have any input on that? Are corporate locations exempt from receiving?
Yeah, so yeah, you should be able to include corporate locations. I think we would have to look at your system and then identify what might be the case with the data that's preventing for the campaign to go out.
Okay, Kelly, we'll take that as a follow-up.
Yeah, I can submit a ticket to the help desk. That's fine.
Okay, perfect.
I did see that the campaign center is different in FIM than it is in sales, and I don't know if you wanted to speak to how it's different.
Yeah. So for those of you who may have Information Manager, we have implemented the new user interface for sales and our CRM products right now. In the next release of the system, I believe, Vikram, you can correct me if I'm wrong, we plan to implement this user interface into Information Manager so that it's streamlined across the entire platform. And I believe we expect that release here in 1Q, and so it shouldn't be too far away. Go ahead, Vikram.
Yep, so that would be in our Q2 release. So as we finalize the release date for that, we'll be sharing more information.
So thanks, Kelly. So these have been great questions. They've kind of slowed down, so if you're kind of hanging on to a question here, please feel free to chat it to me or raise your hand. There's a lot of really great new features and new stuff here. And while you're sort of working up the questions, let me go ahead and show you another workflow that we have going on here in the system. So we saw how we could set up a template here in the system. And one thing, I'm pulling up another instance of FranConnect here really quickly because I want to remind you all that in sales, you have a web form generator. And one of the standard web forms that we have available for you is your franchise application form. So let's talk about franchisors in general. I find that there's an opportunity for you to streamline or automate the sales process during the application phase. So because we as FranConnect have provided you with an application web form, your friends or your leads can fill out this web form with their application details, okay? So one of the great features of the system is that we can create a template. So let me come back out to my campaigns and into my templates. We can create a template that says, hey, this is our application step, okay? And I've got some keywords in here. Thank you for your continued interest. Please use this link to formally apply for our franchise opportunity. And this is a link to the franchise application form. We've attached this template to a campaign called the application campaign, okay? So let me jump out to campaigns now. So this template is associated with a campaign, our application campaign, okay? What we've told the system in a workflow, so let me show you the workflow. What we've told the system here in a workflow is when the lead status is changed to application, all leads receive the application campaign. So we're automating this step. So when I, as a salesperson, say, okay, this lead's ready for our application, we've had a couple of phone calls, we're kind of moving forward in the process, whatever your process is, and I know each of you do this a little bit differently, but here we have the opportunity to say, okay, my sales guy is going to change the lead into application status. When I change the lead into application status, it's automatically going to trigger my campaign. Now, I've set up a separate workflow here to say that once the lead, so the existing lead, fills out the application web form, and I've already got one of these created, so let me go back. I've clicked on the wrong one. My apologies. Once the lead fills out the application web form, all leads, their status is changed to application received, and a task is created that goes to the lead owner, letting them know that they need to review the application. So step one is to say, hey, we need to send the application campaign to leads who are in the application phase. Step 2 is to say, or to tell the system to, once the lead fills out that application form and they click submit, those leads receive a status update and a task is created that lets the sales guy know that they need to review the app. Okay? And we might have another status that's like application approved, right? And so once the sales guy receives the application, he's going to review the 4 or 5 super important fields that really make a difference, and he'll go ahead and place this lead into application approved status. Now, once the application is approved, we might, as an organization, have to then send out background check paperwork, at which point we can set up a campaign that when application is approved, the background campaign goes out, and that campaign has a link to the website we use for background checks for the lead to fill in the background check. And so you see here how, as franchisors, we can use workflows, we can use campaigns to really automate certain steps within our sales process. So, and what I really drive home here is that our sales guys need to be focused on the relationship and not on the process, right? And so if they can focus less on the process and more on the relationship, we'll probably see, or we'll likely see, more leads turn into franchisees, right? Because sales is not just about the sale, but about the relationship, and that's what's really important. So there are a couple of questions that populated on the line while I was reviewing that, so let me go ahead and take a look. All right, so there's a question on the line about creating web forms. We're looking for a demo on web forms. That's a really great question. I think we can create and ask the experts on creating web forms. I think that's a really great suggestion. And then Bob, can you set call appointments with a prospect using the campaign flow? So we can set up tasks that tell our salesperson that they need to set up an appointment, but we can't actually create an appointment like with a lead using these workflows. And Vikram, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Vikram, you're muted, sir. There you go.
Sorry. Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
Okay, good. All right, Bob. So we can set up tasks. We can't set up appointments. So what other questions do you all have for me? All right, so do me a favor. So since we had a quick suggestion about setting up web forms, by show of hands, and raise your hand here in the GoToMeeting, who would like to see that as a topic for an Ask the Expert, creating web forms? Okay, couple hands. All right, looks like we've got enough that we can go ahead and create an Ask the Expert on this. So we'll go ahead and add that to our agenda going forward. I think that's a great suggestion, and always great for you all to give us that information. Okay. All right, another question came in on the line, so let me take a look at that. Can you embed videos or simply provide a link in emails? So Vikram, would you mind answering that? Can we embed videos in emails?
Yep. So videos actually don't work in emails. The way the video player start displaying the video content, it has to be on a special landing pages that the video player can run on. So websites like YouTube, Vimeo have those type of encoding on their pages. So what you can do as part of your email is embed an image, which could be which could be like a thumbnail to that video, and then embed a link as part of that image, which can take the users or the recipients of that email to that particular video online.
So here is an example, Bob. That's a great question, and I remember this from, my small business marketing days as a franchisee. So we've got this image here. So if we've got Vimeo, for example, as the resource that we're using for our video, what we would do is we would sort of take a snapshot image of someone talking, right? Because then it makes it look like a video. So we would get, Bob, you talking here to your lead, a picture of that, and then here we've got our hyperlink. So this would be the link to your, YouTube or, Vimeo. And then once the lead clicks on this picture, and because it's you in an action shot talking, they know it's a video, right? So or you might say, click here to watch this video. And so if they click on the picture or they click the hyperlink, it'll take them to the video that you've got thumbnailed here. So thanks, Vikram, for that good reminder. But you've got your link then for them to click on, and it'll pull up a new tab, and then they'll go ahead and watch the video that you're presenting. Great question. All right, John, I see that you have a question here too, so let me unmute you. John, go ahead.
Well, no, Bob asked it already. Thank you.
Oh, okay, great. And Kelly, do you have another one here for me?
I vaguely remember there being in the before they changed the Campaign Center in the previous version, there was a media center where we could upload images and media files. Where is that now? So you could store images that you're going to use over and over again, like your logo. And that way you could pull in from the media library.
I'm gonna, Vikram, do you know that one? You're on mute.
Yep. So right now that's part of the CRM module. So we are adding that into the sales as well.
Okay, sorry, I was confusing them. Thank you.
No, great question. Good, I'm sure if you had it, Kelly, so did others. Any other questions here on the line with regards to CRMs and campaigns and workflows? All right, everyone. Well, if there are no more questions, I'll give it about 1 or 2 minutes. If there are no additional questions, we'll go ahead and let you get about 20 minutes of your day back. If there are additional questions, I'll hang here on the line a couple more minutes and let you guys go ahead and ask those.
Nice job, Liz. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, Kelly, I'm still working on your question here. Hey, Vikram, I'll send you a message. Kelly is asking, and Kelly, your line is still unmuted. So Kelly is asking a question about where she finds it in CRM, the media library.
Yep. Just So if you click on the navigation menu in the CRM, the blue navigation right next to the email templates, you would see a media library link.
The hamburger. Okay, got it.
Yep,
There it is.
hamburger.
Media library. Okay, and we were in the last version when we upgraded in August. I saw that we were able to upload videos there. I had not explored that yet. Is that still present in the system?
As part of the media library in email templates?
In the Campaign Center, I forget which one it was, but I remember in the Campaign Center there was the we could upload a video of 25 megs or something like that, and then there was somehow a way we could bring that into the template from the media library. Is that still an option?
Yes, I'm assuming you were using the attachments to like add like videos as part of that.
This was before the interface for the Media Center changed. So it was this I don't know, when we went from 726 to SAS North Star, I want to say.
Okay.
It was a completely different media center or campaign center for us in all modules, and so when I was exploring it, I believe it was in the CRM, where the media center then allowed us to upload videos that could then be brought into templates, and that's what I'm asking. Is that function still available?
Yeah, let me check on that, like how it was in 726 in your instance, and I can provide more guidance on that.
No, it wouldn't be 726. It would have been North Star, because that's what we upgraded to.
Got it. So you're saying like that was part of North Star. Okay. Let me double check on that real quick.
Yeah, it was the previous version of the Campaign Center prior to, well, may have been, I don't know, Milky Way, I didn't look at it there, but North Star is what I was exploring when we were doing our upgrade, and I do remember it being there. But regardless, my question is it still an option in Orion? And if not, will they be revisiting that? Because it's a completely different media center, so I don't know if they decided not to include that.
Yeah, let us look into that, Kelly. Okay.
Okay.
That's a good question. Yeah, because it sounds like Vikram's recalling that it was acting as an attachment. Like you could add the video into the media library, but it was added to the template as an attachment rather than like in the body. But that may not be the case, so let us just review that.
Sure.
Thanks so much. Kelly, you have great questions.
Well, a franchise actually asked me that around the time we were doing the upgrade, because he was using a system that indicated to me that they were able to actually put videos in the email, and that it would actually play in the email. And I was looking for an example. I thought he might have sent it to me, but I couldn't find it, and that triggered the memory that, wait, there was a component to insert image or videos.
Yeah.
Somehow, I couldn't find it off the top of my head. So.
Okay, yeah, we'll look into that for you.
Yeah, we have 150 franchises on the system. I get odd questions all the time.
Yes. And Kelly, the other way you can have like animated like images as part of the templates that look like video is by using GIF files. GIF files. Yeah, so you can, if you want to have like some animation as part of the email, like you can use those. The tool that your franchisee must have been using, they might have like shown that as video, but since the email clients don't allow video playing, the way the users are doing or coming across as a workaround is embedding the image with a clickable link or using GIF files.
Yeah, I told him to do a hyperlink to YouTube or wherever he's storing his video. But I'd be interested if you know how to embed the GIF file. That's new to me.
Yeah, so it's similar to embedding any regular image, as long as it's a file that is saved or is created using a GIF creator tool and saved as .gif.
Got it. Okay. Yep, I've seen those. Okay. Wonderful. Thanks for that. I hadn't even thought about that.
Perfect. Any other questions on the line from anyone? I think we've got a couple still hanging on here with us. All right, well, if there are no more questions, we can go ahead and end our lesson today. Thank you, everyone, so much for your time. We certainly do appreciate it, and I hope this session was helpful for you. Have a great Friday and a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.